It's a great honor for us to host David neydi söyledi? Hovhannisyan. It's a very complicated surname. Hovhannisyan. Yeah. We are very lucky because he's in Turkey now as a part of a joint project, expert dialogue between Turkey and Armenia. He will speak today, but before his speech, we are organizing this event together with Political Science Department. Talha Hoca will talk about our guests, and we will give speech to him.
So, it's an important honor and pleasure to host Professor David Hovhannisyan. So, he's one of the most important experts within the post-Soviet, as well as most important scholar on Arab Islamic studies, and he is also the chair of civilizational studies department at Yerevan State University. So, in addition to his academic achievements, accomplishments, and responsibilities, he also had some diplomatic posts before. So, he has been ambassador of Armenia to Syria, I guess, for 8 years. So. Yeah, so he has been involved in Turkish-Armenian relations. So despite the lack of diplomatic relations between two countries, he had efforts in 1990s and 2000s. He has been always involved in these kind of dialogues and contributed positively. So from 2001 to 2004, he was a member of Turkish-Armenian Reconciliation Commission, and he often published in Black Sea region, Middle East, and Armenian-Turkish relations. He is fluent in Arabic and, of course, in Russian and English. So I think this is more of a warm, friendly environment to discuss the Islamic studies as well as the relations. So I think the best this topic, professor's experience best fits with the Alliance of Civilization and the Institute's mission. So unfortunately, we don't know much about the Soviet experience and the Armenian experience in Islamic studies. So I consider this as one first step to start relations with Yerevan State University. So I think we should also encourage exchange of students and scholars. I think I also consider this as a part of this kind of initiative. So I would like to give the mic to Professor Hovhannisyan. So I think he's gonna have presentation, but after that I think we will also have some discussions. So he cannot cover everything. But depending on the interest of the audience, I think we will have more chance to discuss.
By the way, he's also a professor in the Civilization and Cultural Studies Center in State University of Yerevan. It's a kind of sister university to our center, I guess, institute. By the way, you should speak louder because of the acoustic problem.
Yeah, I will try. I have big experience as a lecturer, so I hope that it's enough. I am very proud to be here. I'm very glad to be here in this beautiful place, which is really national proud and heritage for you all here and for me too, because it was built by a very interesting architecture, Sinan. Thank you very much for this opportunity. I would like to say thank you to a friend of mine, Talha Bey, for this great opportunity to be here and to present what we have done and what we are doing in the field of Islamic studies in my country, in Armenia. But because Talha Bey titled my talk as a Soviet and post-Soviet period, so I will start from the 7th century. Soviet Union wasn't so old, of course, but interest of Armenians to Islam and to Muslims is as old as our relations with Muslims. And I already told that the first historian who wrote about new religion was Armenian bishop Sebeos. He wrote about Islam in 7th century, simultaneously with life of Prophet and Khulafa Rashidun, first 4 caliphs. And his book, History, translated to many languages. I don't know if it's translated to Turkish, but I will offer you to think about. I don't want to go deeper because we have many really very interesting sources for you about history of Islam, about different events connected with Armenia and Muslim people, with Ummah, and I will jump to 20th century, Soviet period. Soviet period, you know, our university, Yerevan State University, was established 100 years ago. And we had excellent professors who came from different scientific centers, from Paris, from Vienna, from Bonn, from Istanbul, from other places, from Tehran, and they taught students at that time Arabic, Persian, Turkish, Ottomanian, and also literature, culture, and little bit religion, because it was Soviet time, atheistic period, so it was approximately forbidden, and it was under absolute control. Things changed in 60s, and in because Stalin died, and new generation of rulers of Soviet Union, they gave a little bit more freedom. So at that time was established Oriental Studies faculty in Yerevan State University on the base of philological faculty. We had at that faculty different departments. So we have until now 3 departments. Department of Turkish Studies, but not only Turkey, but also Kazakhstan, Azerbaijan, Uzbekistan, etc. Department of Arabic Studies, and Department of Iranian Studies. Now we are trying to make wider our field of researches and education. I hope we will succeed because we have now a very good center of Chinese studies, and we are trying to go deeper in our relations with India, so we need to know more about India. But of course, interest to Islam is not only very important for us because we are living surrounded by Muslim countries and Muslim people, and we have Armenian communities in many of these countries, and we have excellent relations with the most Muslim countries. but also because we in Armenia, we have some interesting traces of Islamic heritage. And we need to study, we need to make our researches in these fields. For example, my colleague, he wrote excellent book about Arabic epigraphics in Armenia. Volume like this, you know, and very interesting about Sufi tariqats, about different mosques, etc., etc. So, as I said, starting from 16th, we had more opportunities to go deeper in our not only education but also in our researches. Situation completely changed in Soviet Union, and this is maybe interesting for you. After Iranian revolution and after war, started war in Afghanistan. Soviet Politburo decided to pay more attention to Islam as a religion, and they arranged first conference dedicated to Islam, and I participated in this conference. And you know, now when I remember what about very good scholars spoke during this conference, I surprised how small and narrow were the knowledge about Muslims, about Islam, about different branches of Islam. Starting from independence of Armenia, of course, the interest to our faculty grew up. Every year we have more than 50, 60 students, and it's too much for a small country, but people are interesting, so they are coming to learn in our faculty. And many of them, they try to continue in master programs, and after that in Ph.D. They preparing their dissertations, etc. I'll come back to university, and I will come back to topics we are touching there. But I will also say that there is another very important center of Oriental Studies, which is Institute of Oriental Studies, belong to National Academy of Sciences. Also established in 16th, and mainly this institute was busy with so-called newest history and modern political processes. So, because at that time the Soviet Union was very interested by researches about political developments in Muslim countries. So this institute at that time was mainly interested with political processes, but also they wrote some absolutely stupid dissertations about communist parties, workers' movements, etc. So that they somehow paid to Communist Party to have their academic freedom. Although they had these obligations, but after independence, they also changed their profiles of researches, and now we can say that in different departments of this institute, many very talentful scholars are working. And I'm jumping to what I'm doing in my university, because it's very difficult to speak about other scholars without criticizing them. I'm joking, of course. My main interest is period from beginning of 7th century until 11th century. And because I'm working on a very interesting problem of adaptational mechanisms of cultures to the civilizational system, so I'm trying to understand how after a period of Futuh al-Buldan, only 70,000 Arabs who went out from Arabian Peninsula and created a great caliphate, how they adopted the new system of values, new understanding of the world to a civilizational system which wasn't upper than their nomadic civilization system, but which was absolutely far to be native for the new system of values. This is, in my opinion, very interesting problem, and of course I need to learn to read, to analyze more sources. So I started, of course, from Quranul Karim, because everything is coming from Quran. And I try to understand how was constructed text, because this is the word of Allah, so Prophet, who was the mediator between Allah and Ummah, should be sure that everything he is saying understandable for his audience. How? Yeah, because, for example, I like this surah, Fil. Alam tara kayfa fa'ala rabbuka bi ashabil fil, alam yajal, etc. Yeah, people who is coming from other culture never will understand what about is this surah. So it means that in the material of text there were some signals which switched on the memory in the brains of members of Ummah. This is a very interesting problem. I don't want to stop on this, it's long. And I understand that we have unique cultural example, because as well as I observed during tens of years, we have only two similar examples, culture of Iceland and Arabic culture, when the oral way of keeping and working with information transferred immediately without any pauses to the writing way, writing system of information. And this is unique because we have oral text in writing form. Yeah, and this is unique opportunity to learn two systems of information. It's very important now because we are in period of informational revolution with this internet, networks, etc., etc., and especially with new language we are using in internet. Yeah, and it's remind me that khabars and hadiths they are very complicable with this form of formulating ideas in internet. It's very interesting. Short, yeah, without additional details, only a fixation of what is important. So after that, of course, I went to field of adab. Adab is not literature, you know, of course. It's the art how to be kind, how to be a good person, nice person, and how to sit with the caliphs and emirs, and what about you can talk with them, and how to choose the counselors, advisors, and how to conduct the people, and how to etc., etc., etc. So, what was for me very interesting, I'm telling all this, I will say a little bit later, because I understand that the first authors who weren't Arabs, Ajami people, Persians mainly, they tried to bring their cultural civilizational heritage to new system of values and to adopt new system of values based on their knowledges about how to rule the empire, how to collect the taxes, etc., etc., how to arrange administration. Yeah. On the same time, a little bit later, in beginning of 9th century, of course you know, Ibn Abi Shayba wrote Musannaf, and this is first book about fiqh and about hadith, in which was include Kitab al-Adab. This is very interesting that Alim, he includes in his book something dedicated to adab. What he did, he tried another way to adopt the system of value to the civilizational system. He went from religion to civilization. Ibn al-Muqaffa and others, they went from civilization to religion. They tried to input their terms, their rules, their knowledges to religious system. But Ibn Abi Shayba did this in other way. And his continuation, his initiative was taken by great Al-Jahiz, Ibn Qutayba and others. So about all these things, my students, my Ph.D. students, my master students, they wrote their dissertation. Not only about this, one of my students, Ph.D. students, he defends dissertation about Sahih al-Bukhari. Second one, who is now chief of our Arabic Studies department, he defended a dissertation about Ummah, based on the hadiths and Quran, etc., etc. So you can imagine our work, our enthusiasm, and our will to understand more and deeper. And of course, we are very interested in processes in it's very difficult for me to say Muslim world, because I don't think that we can speak about something common. Yeah, but in different Muslim countries, and the processes are different, and the consequences are different, and the circumstances are different. So here I will stop, and I would like to receive many questions from you, because you would help me to open more, give more information about what we are doing in Armenia. Thank you. So, I'm ready for questions.